It all kind of came to a head. I had basically like a full mental breakdown, not functioning, couldn't really speak, suicidal, telling my wife, I don't want to be here anymore. Please freaking kill me. Because one day I'm running my company. Next day I'm in this place. Is it a little bit like prison?
So what actually did make the difference once you checked out of that hotel?
She had been in solitary confinement for 2 years. When I saw the guy, I was terrified. Tattoos from head to toe. That's so unusual anymore. But just, I was scared of him. But you know what happened? Nick became like Brent was to me. He became my mental health sponsor. And he says, Shawn, I'm a homeless guy. I could teach you how to steal a sandwich from a Walgreens, a drugstore. They're not going to chase you. So to me, the people were the medicine.
It sounds like what made the difference was people. So you had your wife, you had your mentor, your kind of sponsor, and then the community came next. So it was people. So we talk about interventions and drugs and devices, but actually it was people. Why, if it's so normal, is it not normal to talk about it, especially for blokes like us?
It's just the way we've been trained, I guess, or society, is that you have to put out this face. And
yeah, I've been inpatient, I've been suicidal, and I've just met this person, but it feels so good to share this level of information without shame that there's something wrong with me or that I have to hide that from someone. It's liberating, to be honest.
Like when I share my story, I think that's a way to start. Is so many times I'll be on a call, tell someone the story, and then they say to me, Shawn, I never told anyone this, but...
Welcome to the Healing Mindset, brought to you by MAPA Minds, a next-generation mental health clinic delivering Spravato and ketamine therapy to people living with depression. I'm your host, David Drapkin. I'm a social worker, a psychotherapist, and an advocate for mental health, innovation, and normalization. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Shawn Lesser. Shawn is a finance veteran and a pioneer of impact investing. He actually co-founded the first impact investment bank, and after experiencing his own severe mental health crisis, he courageously pivoted his life's work to launch the Real Mental Health Foundation. Through vulnerability, community building, and the powerful Global Real Summit, Shawn's organization is now dedicated to improving mental health for men and their families while channeling billions of dollars in capital towards innovative mental health solutions. Shawn's mission resonates profoundly with me personally, as I've also lived with mental health challenges and believe deeply in the power of role modeling vulnerability. So that's why I'm also an ambassador with The Real. And you'll get to hear a lot more about what that means to me and what an ambassador does during the show. All right, let's begin. Enjoy this episode of The Healing Mindset. All right, Shawn, how you doing? Really good to see you today.
I'm doing good. Good. Thanks for having me on the show, David. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. So we have a connection through The Real. I am an ambassador of The Real. Tell people, what is The Real and what does it mean to be an ambassador?
Sure. The Real is the Real Foundation is a mental health foundation based on the power of conversation and community. I had my own mental health struggles, and conversation and community was super helpful to me. Obviously, mental health is complicated. There's a lot of different pieces, but that really helped me a lot. And then specifically around the ambassadors, our goal is to get to about 1,001 ambassadors by the end of 26. We're currently around or close to 500. So like yourself, we have ambassadors across 30 countries and 6 continents. That's men. And then we also have women that are involved. They're called allies. And we have around 50 or so women right now.
Awesome. And I've joined some of the calls with other ambassadors, and it's just been beautiful. And we'll talk more about it later, what it's like to talk about mental health and to share our most vulnerable parts and some of the dark experiences we've had in our life with depression and suicidality. Could you get the ball rolling, Shawn, and talk about your own experience with mental health, depression, and suicidality? What brought you to found The Real? What happened before that?
Sure. So I'll give you also a little background on myself and then get into the story. So my resume, born in Brooklyn, grew up on Long Island, New York, and then I live in Atlanta. But then after school, I did 15 years, I did international institutional equity sales, selling stocks to banks overseas. And then in 2007, with a partner, co-founded the first impact investing investment bank, raising money for impact and sustainable companies, funds, put on convenings, etc. So you can read all this stuff on LinkedIn if you want. But the mental health story was, it was September 22. I was depressed, had trouble eating, had trouble sleeping. I lost 40 pounds, which is wonderful. but I was not on a diet. And then it was a December 19th. I was on a Zoom call, and it all kind of came to a head. Had basically like a full mental breakdown, not functioning, couldn't really speak, was suicidal, telling my wife I don't want to be here anymore. Please freaking kill me. So most wives don't want to hear that, David. Some might,
Mhm.
but not my wife. So that's that's a keeper. That's where you can. That's a low bar, but
Yeah.
that's a keeper. So we don't know what to do. So here in Atlanta, we go to the emergency ward. They roll out telemedicine. They ask you all these questions, and they say you want to go to the psych ward. I don't know what that means, but yeah, sure, let's go. So I was in the psych ward for 2 days. So I can tell you more about the story, but just giving you a little bit of a flavor.
Yeah, for sure.
I have firsthand knowledge.
Yeah. And did it come out of nowhere? Like, or had it been building over a long time?
So, I had depression from time to time, 20s, 30s, 40s. It would kind of come and go, and it was always similar. It was actually the best diet because I know I lose weight because I just
Mm.
wouldn't want to eat. But this specific time, it was just a little bit different. A couple of things happened. When I had COVID right before, I'm not blaming COVID, but it's more you're putting bricks on your shoulders and they just build up. So obviously that's going to weaken your system. Then it was nothing unusual that no one else is going through. It was getting older. Who am I? What am I? Stress at work. I think also not eating well, not sleeping well, that really weakens the whole system. And then it just kind of came to a head where the computer crashed. But yeah, it would happen from time to time over my life.
Okay. Thanks for sharing.
Of course.
So as that was happening, like you said, your wife helped you get to the emergency room to get assessed, and then you went inpatient. So kind of just talk us through your journey, because a lot of what the Real's doing
Yeah, of course. Of
is
course.
starting these
Of
conversations.
course.
So what happened next?
Sure. Sure. I'm happy to give you details. So then they asked at the emergency ward, it wasn't even a person. It was a person, but it was telemedicine. They ask you all these questions, and we didn't really know, really didn't understand. So we're like, yeah, I want to go. So I packed up my eye mask, my sound machine, my computer. I went over there, and then a lovely woman checked me into the place. She seemed to be like my third grade teacher. And then the next minute, a lovely police officer came out and was checking all my bags because you can't have any of those things in the psych ward. You can't even have a string in your pants. Right? You can't have any of these things.
Yeah.
So I didn't really fully grasp what was going on. So it was a little bit going in there, and the people were nice, right? I don't want to knock the people; super helpful. But just being in that scenario was very strange for me because one day I'm running my company, next day I'm in this place. Is it a little bit like prison? Yeah, in a way. But again, they want to help you, but it was very, very surreal to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually worked for 3-4 years in an inpatient psych unit, and
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So
And I
the
remember
people are lovely, but
like family members would bring their loved ones books to read, and we said, sorry, this has
yeah,
got staples in it, because even like little staples along the
it's
spines of
crazy.
books aren't
Yeah,
allowed because you could cut yourself with them.
yeah. I remember I had a pencil in my room. They took it, and then even when I checked into the room, there was no shower curtain. It was all foam. It was just like, oh,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah. Were you ready for help? Were you open to help back then?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
ready for help. I was like, sign me up. Let's go. It wasn't me fighting against help, but I thought that, okay, you're going to go somewhere and kind of relax. So actually being in that sitting for me, it's different for everyone. That made it worse. It didn't make it better because that's a place just to stabilize you. It's almost like you get in a car accident and they bring you to the hospital and they stabilize you. As you know, you used to work there. But that exacerbated the problem, at least for me.
Yeah. So what actually did make the difference once you checked out of that hotel, the inpatient unit? What made the difference that kept you alive, and then led to eventually
Mhm.
to founding the Real? Like, what kinds of interventions, services, people, support
Sure,
systems?
sure. Sure. So let me give you a little bit more of the story and then I'll fill in. So then I was there for 2 days. Then I got out. I went home. And then my wife was here, obviously. My kids were here. My mom's 84. She lives in Long Island. She came down. So my wife and my mom were like on a 24-hour Shawn watch. And then my wife reached out to a friend. His name's Brent Hurd. She texted Brent. Our kids played Little League Baseball together, and then Brent was friendly with my wife. Not too friendly, but was friendly. But basically sent him a message, Shawn's in a bad place. And he came back right away. I got to give him all the credit for that. Ask all the right questions. Is he in a safe place? This has happened to a lot of people, especially guys. So he became what I call now, and this also goes to the real, and this was very helpful, my mental health sponsor. So think if you have an Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a sponsor. So basically a buddy, right? So walking, talking, hanging out. And I remember the first time he came, we were in a park, and it was just there was some relief to know that you're not the only one, because everyone thinks they're the only one in this position. And it's actually the exact opposite. Everyone in their life is going to struggle. This is normal. I was at a 10 at one time. That's a bad place, but everyone's at a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8. That's just the way it is. So that was super helpful to find someone else. And that's also what the ambassador's about. And sometimes you're the other person in trouble. Sometimes you're the person helping, and sometimes it can switch day by day. That's the good side of it.
Yes, it sounds like what made the difference was people. So you had your wife, you had your mentor, your kind of sponsor, and then the community came next. So it was people. So we talk about interventions and drugs and devices, but actually it was people. And what happened? What is it particularly that helped you with these people? What was it that enabled you to do that you needed?
Sure. So I'm going to give you a little bit more. So then I did go away to 2 treatment centers. I went to one in California, one in Florida. Both the places were totally different, but they take away your phone. You're in therapy all day. And I got back the real stuff about 2.5 years ago. But even in those places, of course, they're giving you there's drugs, right? This is normal. But I think it was the other people in those places, just talking to them, just to know that you're not alone, and so many people are supportive and nice, and people kind of came out of the woodwork to help me. I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about, if it's okay, David, about one of the treatment centers. So you don't know when you go to these treatment centers, you don't kind of know, again, you don't know what's going on. So my wife had found one online, and it looked good. The pictures looked nice. Took our insurance. So like, all right, let's go. So I got there. This one was in Florida, and there were people from prison. There were homeless people. Everyone's asking me, what's my DOC, which I didn't know what that meant, but it means your drug of choice. And then there was one guy, his name was Nick. Nick had been in prison for 14 years. He had been in solitary confinement for 2 years. When I saw the guy, I was terrified. Tattoos from head to toe. Not that that's so unusual anymore, but just I was scared of him. But you know what happened? Nick became like Brent was to me. He became my mental health sponsor. Here's a guy, who was in prison. I would never talk to this guy in normal life. I would never meet him. And I'm on the couch. He's consoling me. He's helping me. Then another guy, his name's Angel. Angel was there too. I'm walking, talking, hanging out with Angel. Such a good guy. And then I say, Angel, what do you do for a living? And he says, Shawn, I'm a homeless guy. I could teach you how to steal a sandwich from a Walgreens, the drugstore. They're not going to chase you. So for sure, to me, the people were the medicine. There's other medicines, but that for me.
Beautiful. I love that. The people were the medicine. So originally you gained a lot from these people, Angel and Brian, Brett. So these people gave a lot to you, and now you're giving back, it feels like.
Well, it's kind of like, I'm going to write that down. People are the medicine. I never said that before. That's a good one.
Yeah, trademark that.
I bet him. So, yeah, there was so many. I'm just talking about like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
There's so many, and they come out of all these different places, or even being in the treatment centers when people share their stories, and you're like, wow, and just created in the treatment center, there are people from all kinds of people, younger, older, etc. And uh, and it became a community where people helped each other, which was nice because you're also forced because you're kind of in this one space together. But that became super important.
Shawn, I've got a question in my head. If it's
Sure, go ahead.
so normal for us to have challenges with the mental health, like we might not all be in a number 10, like you said, but we're always somewhere between like, 1 and maybe 7 or 8. And, I've definitely had
Mhm.
moments of 10 in my life as well.
It's normal.
Why, if it's so normal, is it not normal to talk about it, especially for blokes like us?
It's just the way we've been trained, I guess, or society is that you have to put out this face, and I guess it's going back from centuries. So it's just you got to be strong. You can't show anything. Um, I don't know. Society kind of teaches you that in a way. Maybe your parents do. I'm not blaming the parents, but that's the norm at this time. Um,
And it's so refreshing to share my own experience of being in one of our monthly ambassadors calls. And what that is, people from around the world, they're ambassadors for the real, meet together, have a bit of a schmooze, get updates, housekeeping, but then we do maybe 3, 4, 5 breakouts. One
yeah,
on one, you meet a random other ambassador from around the world, and usually we've all got something in common. Either we're in recovery from addiction, we're experiencing with depression, with burnout, with suicidality. And it's amazing to go in this random breakout room on Zoom with somebody and for them to say, you know what, Dave, yeah, I've been inpatient, I've been suicidal, like I've self-harmed,
mhm,
I'm in recovery right now from alcohol
mhm,
abuse,
mhm,
and I've just met
mhm,
this person. But it feels
mhm.
so good to share this level of information without shame that there's something wrong with me or that I have to hide that from someone. It's liberating, to be honest.
Yeah, it's nice, and we do that the third Wednesday every month. And last month we had about 100 guys. And sometimes people talk about mental health. Sometimes they talk about nothing, also, and or business. It doesn't matter, right? It's just building, or to me, it's just building relationships. That's what's going on. And yeah, you can just be yourself, and everyone gets it. No one's judging you. No problem.
Yeah. And it's a little bit radical to think that some of the most valuable help you can get is from someone who's not a doctor or a therapist. It can just be someone who's got lived experience or who's just a
Sure.
regular person. That's kind of radical.
Sure, it is interesting because if you had a problem with your heart, I mean, you had heart surgery, then you had an operation, you would not be an expert or know. Of course, you know the experience, but you can't go in the operating room, right? But if you have something with your mental health, I'm not saying that I am an expert. I'm just saying you can relate to other people. Yeah. So I think there's space for both the clinical side, and then I think the the peer to peer, the that kind of thing, or was I just saying people are the medicine? That's there's a sides for that too. And they both can work. Whatever works for somebody. I know you also. We were talking a little bit about psychedelics. I've never done psychedelics, but that's also been part of a lot of the people and the ambassadors. We also put on these other events. It's always part of that. And for folks, they're like, this is incredible, right? So I'm like, wonderful. Whatever works for you, let's go.
Mm. Yeah. And I think there are some really exciting new interventions, medicines like people, but also psychedelic drugs, Spravato, ketamine, MDMA, psilocybin. Like literally, I think
Yeah.
today or yesterday, was the 5th of November, the VA just announced 9 of their regional VA branches are going to move forward with research trials with MDMA and psilocybin for PTSD, depression, and anxiety. 9 VAs in
Hmm.
America. So this
Wow,
is
that's great.
really, really exciting. And we need more
Hmm.
options, to be honest. It's not enough simply to say, oh, here's the medicine, here's a therapist, come back in a week, see your psychiatrist once a month, once every 3 months. We need more. So what is there in our lives between those appointments or while we're taking that daily medication that's going to take months to hit our brain? It's people. So what is it, just moving on, what is it about your community of the real that feels like it didn't exist before and it needs to exist now, and the impact it's going to have, therefore, is what?
This is just bringing like-minded people together. So there's other, we're not the only group. There's, and and I also say our goal is to help 10,000,001 men with their mental health by 2030. But women are totally, I don't know what do women want? I don't know, but I know this. Women want healthy men, brothers, fathers, husbands. So the women are super supportive. So this is not like a guy's thing. But I don't think the idea is so novel and new. I think it's probably as old as time. You're gonna see somebody else. They're gonna, put their arm around you and have a chat and just feel comfortable and just be like, "Hey, buddy, I get it." So this is more, how do you expand that on a global basis and simplify it, because it's not complicated.
Mm.
And another thing that we do, David, sorry, is we do this thing. So every third Wednesday, we do the speed friending, and then every third Saturday we do this thing called the real walk. So where guys and I saw your wife, guys walk, or they do some other activity. It doesn't need to be a walk. Some guy was doing hot yoga. Some guy was smoking cigars with his friends. Other guys, there's 10 of them. Sometimes with guys with their wives, with their ex-wives, with their dogs. It doesn't matter. Right? It does. Well, just get out there and be part of the community. And they wear the hats. They take a picture. And again, that doesn't matter too. If you don't want to have the hat, no big deal. It's just being part of something. And that's really nice. That happens once a month and then we post it on LinkedIn. You just see these pictures come in from all over the place.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And then also as cool is how people interpret it differently. Right. And some people like this is peer to peer. Some people like this is around religion. Some of them are like this is around psychedelics. Some of them are like this is around exercise. Some of them are this is around art, pets, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you.
Yeah, those walks I found are great because I spend a lot of time in my office looking at my laptop screen like
Sure.
most of us. So just knowing that literally once a month, I've committed to that. I hold myself accountable. I usually do it on a Sunday, not a Saturday, because it's Shabbat.
It's okay. It's all right. That's okay too.
I normally grab a friend in advance and say, "Hey, it's my monthly walk. Do you want to come walk with me? But we have to be able to talk about our emotions and our feelings and our mental health. Are you cool with that?" And it's nice because otherwise I wouldn't have done it, and I probably wouldn't be having that conversation with people. And it just takes a little bit of, I need this, or it's an important part of just building relationships as well. I've got a little bit closer to people doing that.
It's something to do. It's building relationship. It's having outside activity. And if you want to talk about mental health, that's fine. You want to talk about nothing, that's fine. Yeah. You're just building community.
I love that it's walking and talking. And my dad, God bless him.
People do that anyway.
Yeah, it's just so conducive. Like my dad, he is, how old is my dad now? He's 86. And he's never been much of a talker, but when ever he walks the dog, he becomes verbose. You can ask him any question, he'll reflect and do his best. And that's the kind of time I've connected the most with him when walking. Because you're outside particularly, but there's something about using your body physically. And it just seems like everything space, it opens up inside, giving permission to be a bit more vulnerable.
Sure. I think there's probably some science behind it, but you're just walking and you're moving. And sometimes it gets stuffy just sitting in a room, or it's just being outside. There's a lot of science to it, but we didn't say we're going to do the walk because there's a lot of science to it. We said it because, that makes a lot of sense. Everybody walks. Yeah. Everyone pretty much likes to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said a few minutes ago that one of the outcomes that the Real is going to do is getting, was it 1 million men in treatment for mental health? What was that high number you made?
Just to help 10,000,001 men with the mental health. And I'm happy to give you a little bit more color on the foundation and what it's doing. So I said it before, the foundation is based on the power of conversation and community, but it's based on 3 C's. It goes conversation, goes to community, goes to change. So I'll give you a little picture here. So conversations. So the talk that I give and really the talk that we're having, I call this the real talk. And I've done that as kind of an hour event, usually a lunch event, and done it 20, 30 cities across the US, done in Europe. And what happens when you have this kind of talk? You know this. It breaks down the stigma. People feel more comfortable. Lots of times I'll be giving a talk and I'll be like, I don't feel like talking. It's more of a conversation than a talk. I don't feel like talking anymore. And then other people will just start telling their story. I don't ask them to, David. They just do.
Yeah.
And terrific. So the idea there is great. One guy's telling a story, but how about 10? How about 100? How about 1,000? All make some models. And think of it like a TED Talk where it has a certain look, it has a certain feel. And then you have 10 finance guys, 10 marketing guys, whatever, because I think people relate to people that are similar. And then have that online, right? And then you have a library. And that's one way that you can reach 10 million and one men. Because if you think of a music video, lots of times a music video has been watched 1 billion times. That's not unusual. So that's the conversation. And then the second piece is community, like we were talking about with the ambassadors and the allies and etc. So those are some of the pieces.
And change ultimately, what the third C? What's the ultimate change that you're working?
I think it's a little bit about the conversation. I think it's what we were talking about before. Like, why is it so weird to have this conversation when it doesn't have to be? That people can be like, all right, I can talk about other stuff, but if you want to talk about this, cool, whatever. This is human, no big deal.
I love how normal you're coming at this. It's just not. It's not a big deal.
Normal.
We're just doing it.
No,
anyone can join.
No, it's
great.
Yeah. It's not complicated again. And this is I don't know any. I'll go into a room and say, please raise your hand if you, a family member or a friend, have been negatively affected by mental health in some way. And in every room I've been to, everywhere on the planet, it don't matter. Everybody raise their hand. There's no one is immune. No one had it. This is life, and that's just that's where we're at.
Yeah, and you can go to any room in any country with anyone in it, and if they're being honest, they will all raise their hands. Everybody, doesn't matter how rich and powerful or famous they might be.
No, that it's not. Lots of times, I've those you could say, oh, they have so much, but they might be upset in just a bigger house. It doesn't matter. It's not has to do with any of those things. And lots of times people that, maybe they're even those types of people, sometimes they have to put on a face all the time, right? They can't be themselves, right? That's not fun to always be. And why do people want to be friendly with them? They're always thinking, well, maybe they want because they want to, for the money, whatever. But whatever, this is universal. It doesn't matter if, you're the richest guy, you're the poorest guy, people are going to struggle. Yeah. Obviously, sure, if you have some money, that's going to make things a little bit easier, but this is the human condition.
There's another big question I want to ask around the change that you're working toward and helping to make happen. And that's about the methods, techniques, medications, kind of tech platforms, the companies, the clinicians, and the innovators in the mental health industry, helping to develop, in a sense, next generation therapeutics, such as like Spravato, TMS, and psychedelics, to name a few. So what's your vision with that? And particularly, I know the events that you've had around the world look amazing. I didn't make it yet, but how do those events fit in? And
Sure. So I come out of finance and come out of impact investing, and I saw how impact investing grew from kind of nothing to it's like a $1.5 trillion industry. So in my mind, I think that mental health similar. A lot of buzzwords. Where do you go? What do you do? Can you make money? So we put on a lot of convenings at my old shop. So I was like, all right, we got to put on an event. So we've been putting on this event called the Real Summit, the intersection of finance and mental health. And the goal there is to try to help move $10 billion in new capital into mental health. I'm not raising $10 billion, but it's bringing these people together, bringing the ecosystem together like we did in New York, that really, I think, helps to move things. I saw the same thing in impact investing. So I'm more all the above, whatever works. And I think different things work for different people. I don't think there's one silver bullet. It's great to see all these different initiatives, and we're bringing all those people together, and then we're also bringing investors together that have some interest in that. So it's amazing to see, and there's more and more options out there that and people are focused on this. I mean, look at it from a different standpoint. Hey, it's a giant market, right? If you have something that affects every single person, that's a giant market. And from a business standpoint, sure, that should be profitable. And I come out of impact investing. Impact investing is make money, do good. I think, sure, you should make money, because then if you make money, these things will scale. So yeah, we just had our event. I think the highlights for me at the event was, one, also we interject the foundation in there. So we did a real off there. People are also sharing stories. But we had on the U.S. side, and we know the world's pretty divided, especially in the U.S. There's Republican, Democrat. We had Rick Perry, he ran for president. We had Andrew Yang ran for president. One was a Democrat, one was Republican. It was nice to have them both there, because this is not like a political thing. And this is also not about borders. It doesn't matter where you live. We have Israelis. I want Palestinians. I don't care. I want Russians. I want Ukrainians. It's not about where you sit on the map. It's just you're a person.
Phenomenal. So these conversations that you're starting off with ambassadors, so that I have once a month with other folks, in a sense, there's a parallel conversation happening with investors, clinicians, politicians, regulators, to drive the energy and hopefully the capital. But it's conversation that's starting that. That's brilliant. I don't know if at your New York summit, Shawn, did Rick Perry talk about ibogaine in Texas?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. So Rick was there. He had a panel on ibogaine. And then he brought his whole team. I'm forgetting the name of the guy who's the CEO, and some other folks. So yeah, that also sounded, incredible. And it was great that I had breakfast with Rick Perry. I didn't know what to expect. Super nice guy, and very excited about this. So that's another tool in the toolbox. So we should just have as many tools in the toolbox that make sense. I couldn't tell you. I mean, he's a big advocate. Do I think it's the greatest thing ever? I don't know, but it's probably the greatest thing ever for a lot of people. So, but yeah, it was great to see Rick, and he's on a mission.
Right. Yeah. And for folks that don't know, there's this Texas Ibogaine initiative where they've got $50 million to develop clinical trials with ibogaine for a number of different indications, particularly for veterans. So huge stuff happening. Before we go, Shawn, tell us about your beautiful art gallery that I see behind you. Who are the artists?
I've been working on this for years. Yeah. Now, these did act. If you can't see this room, the whole room is covered in pictures. So my kids are not little kids anymore. They're 18 and almost 17. But I just like the pictures, and then other kids give me pictures, and then there's report cards. There's all kinds of stuff, or even. My birthday was the other day, and then my son and my daughter wrote me some cards. So, I mean, they're also on the wall. So it's just, I don't know. It's just a nice feeling to have all these things. Will I take them down ever? Probably not. But maybe when they get married or they get older, I don't know.
Yeah. Beautiful. And just, thinking as a therapist, having that helps with resilience. It's a protective factor. It's really hard not to look at that without feeling love, appreciation, gratitude, like life is meaningful. So that's, what other things in our lives do we have that give us that feeling?
And then every once in a while, they'll walk in a room and they'll start looking at them. Oh, I remember this. I remember that. Oh, look at this one, Daddy.
It's a good conversation starter.
I think they like it. I like it a lot.
So final thought, we talked a lot about conversation and how to start a conversation with someone that might be in a dark place. Do you have any final words of how someone can get a conversation started, either because they're in a dark place or they are looking out for someone they love and they seem to be in a dark place, but how do I get this conversation started?
That's an interesting question. And that's more of a therapist question. I don't know the right answer to that. I mean, I tell you what happened to me yesterday. Just an example. One of the ambassadors hit me. He was in Europe and he sent me a message. Hey, there's this guy. He's not doing well. I think the real could help him. I said, fine. So I hit the guy up on LinkedIn and I said, hey, do you want to join us, be an ambassador? And that just opened it up. And then we wasn't in person, but we just chatted. And now he was super excited that all these people are supporting him. So I'm not sure what the exact right way is to do. For me, it's checking on people every once in a while. And now I think the interesting thing is, yeah, of course, I'm like screaming this from the top of the mountain and all that stuff, but you don't need to do that. But then people will just come and they can this out. Shawn's okay. He's. I am part of the tribe because I am Jewish too, but he's part of the tribe and he's understanding. So I don't know, David. I don't know the exact right question to ask.
That's the perfect answer, because basically you're saying there is no magic thing to
Yeah.
say. It's just get the conversation started. Be
Hmm.
real about it. Check in with people.
I could tell you this like when I share my story, I think that's a way to start. Is so many times I'll be on a call, tell someone the story, and then they say to me, Shawn, I never told anyone this, but, and then they tell me a story, and I'm not surprised anymore. And I'm like, yeah, of course. So, I mean, that's the other way is just you sharing with them, and then they'll naturally want to reciprocate, and they'll feel more at ease.
Amazing, because literally last week I was in a breakout Zoom, and my room was about heart connection because I'm a therapist. So other people in different
Sure,
rooms were
sure.
talking about like psychedelic policy and research, and
Yeah.
also the other room was AI and technology. But if you want to come have a heart talk with David, one person came and he's like, I've never told anyone this before. This is
Right.
my experience of life and business and what it's like. And I don't normally talk like this with people. And I just met him. And so I actually thought, well,
Yeah.
look, if you're going to open up to me, I'm going to open up to you. And it was, it felt
The
really good,
domino
actually.
effect.
Don't do that enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you do that with him, and he's going to do that with someone
Yeah.
else, and it just reverberates.
Yeah. It feels good.
It's simple. Yeah. Yeah. Then people feel good. And then two things. One, okay, it's great for that person that just told you. On the other side, it's super helpful for you because you're like, all right, I just helped somebody,
Yeah.
and that makes you feel good. So it's both parties are happier because of it.
All right. Shawn Lesser. Origin, thank you, of the Real Mental Health Foundation. Before you leave, just tell people where they can get more information about you.
Sure, sure. The easiest place is to go to the real.care. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And then for some of our different events, if you go to the real.events, the events are there. So the real.care or the real.events are the best spots.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening and watching, everyone. Thank you, Shawn. Really good to see you.